And just like that, we are back from break number 1 of 3 for the first inaugural show back to NETMA. Welcome back to Nobody Ever Tells Me Anything. I am your host, Tyler Falk. And now we get to do a couple different things. And I see a couple of people already thinking ahead. Yes, that's actually what I was thinking about doing. I'd like to plug like Access Live or plug The Streets Are Talking or maybe an article from the new SFL website into the show, into these breaks. That way, I can not really they don't have to sponsor anything, but we can give some love to other shows in that regard, in that way, where we get to, you guys get to see other people's shows. Maybe I just put a clip in there. Lot of ideas, lots and lots of ideas. Keep them coming. Put them in the show. Put them in the show Discord. We can talk about it. All right, so we're gonna play catch up. Got about 14 minutes to talk about what I missed. So of course, last couple seasons, it has been all Baltimore. that's the big thing right there. It's been Baltimore and only Baltimore. That's it. That's it. 4 new expansion teams, but that's it. Seattle, Minnesota, Indianapolis, and Canton. There we go. How can I forget Canton? But we've got 4 new teams. Baltimore, and much to the chagrin of Eddie Gage and the rest of the Arizona Scorpions. Sorry, Eddie. Sorry, Scorpions. Sorry, SFL. But it's been all Baltimore for that era. The minor league's been a little bit hit, has been actually pretty good. If you guys actually have a chance to watch the minor league, Albuquerque completed a back-to-back championship run. They missed out on the playoffs this past season, and all of a sudden, here comes Madison. Madison jumps into the fray, and they take down Lincoln, who made the playoffs for the first time in franchise history. And they go to the championship game, and all of a sudden, Madison looks like Baltimore. Madison took care of business, and for the first time, I'm jumping ahead real quick, but for the first time that I've seen, an entire minor league team gets liquidated in the draft. Insane stuff. And we saw so many rookie quarterbacks come off the board. Not just as a starter, but for a majority of them, they're going to be backups. We are going to see backup quarterbacks, backup halfbacks. Well, backup halfbacks really aren't a new thing. That's a 2-back system, but I digress. But backup quarterbacks, deep depth in teams. We take a look at Alamo City with 34 potential players. That's insane. That is absolutely insane. This new era of the SFL, that's been the hot topic of attention for a lot of the SFL. We're moving away from All Pro Football 2K8, moving to a modded version of ESPN football, being called 4K 23, where there's oodles, and toaster strudels worth of customization, not just in the playbooks and the liberty to do a whole lot more with playbooks, but in stadiums themselves. It blew my mind to look at what people were doing to an ancient game in today's standards and really make stadiums and a whole lot of other stuff their own. Let's take DC for example. They took control of the roof, which in 2K and ESPN 2K football, it's Detroit Field. It's Ford Field. It's a dome roof. That thing don't retract. But DC was able to find the file and remove the roof. Now, the only downside to that is there won't be any snow or rain or anything for DC, which means it'll all be sunny in DC. I thought it's supposed to be always sunny in Philadelphia, but I digress. Anywho, but the amount of stuff, the creativity of this community is incredible. It's phenomenal. We take a look at Queen City's build for, I believe they took Tampa Bay Stadium. So they could either remove the entirety of the pirate ship, or what I think they're doing is I think they put their own flag up on there. And don't we mention logos? Our own team logos are now on the field. Not some generic best we can do logo from All Pro, which opens the door for so many new potential names, potential teams, locations, combinations. You have it. We've got 4 more spots, maybe more, for this league to grow. Now, I don't see us growing for another 3 to 4 seasons for us to get to 32 teams. I'll come back to that here in a second. But the potential for it is there. Back to that point, because I'm already on it. We take a look at the new 4 teams and why we won't get them for a while. Let's just take a look at this last draft. I already mentioned we completely emptied an entire minor league team already. Madison has no team for next season as it stands after the draft. Madison and everybody else is going to have to cycle in as many more new players as possible. They'll get a whole bunch of new players in time for the new minor league season, season 8, to start off closer to October, November time. The big thing is we take Alamo City, for example, right? They still have to gain, I don't even have to say gain any more players. They have enough for a first team and half a second team already. If we were to take and put 4 more teams in the league right now, we'd have enough, but we'd have about the same type of roster sizes we would have in the old system, in the old era, which is good in some cases, but it also can be kind of weird in some cases. Also, it's a brand new era, brand new game, brand new system to figure out. Every single coach has had to have gone through a learning experience throughout this entire offseason. And they're still doing it now. I talked with TJ Harper just last night. Says, I'm doing something right now. I'm cleaning the house. But as soon as I'm done with that, I got to go run another sim. And I'm sure you could probably talk to Eddie Gage or Gerald Smith, and their setup, their 4-5 TV setup, is now converted into, well, now I have to get computers and I have to run this thing on 4 or 5 different computers. And I'm sure it's already being done. I'm sure Eddie or Destro or Chad or name a head coach here is doing something like that to get as much data, as much information about how their teams operate, how their new playbooks operate, how everything operates. To give 4 new teams with 4 sets of brand new coaches a team now would be throwing lambs to a slaughter. Or a wolf in lamb's clothing into an opposite slaughter in some cases. Because we don't know what each team is planning. We won't know how teams react to each other's game plans. It's gonna be a learning curve this season. We are going to see teams that at one point were stalwarts have terrible seasons. We're gonna see teams from last season, Queen City, who had one of the best drafts of the class, if they put things together, they very well could have a respectable season, be back in the playoffs for the first time in who knows how long. That's the kind of system we're looking at right now. We are about to witness a lot of change, a lot of inaccuracies, a lot of football. That's what we're going to watch. Folks may have came in because of the graphics, now have left because of the graphics. Folks might have come in because they wanted a team in a certain location, and because they weren't able to get ownership have left. But we are here. The SFL did not go belly up because of a new era change. I used a analogy on the draft show, and I'm going to use it again. Think of this new era change as how Formula One did their regulation change. If you take a look at Formula One from 4 years ago, they had a lot of weird things on the side of their cars. Now they can't have any of that. Now it all matters on what's underneath the car. They call it ground effect. A lot of little technical stuff I won't get too much into, but the cars look vastly different. Formula One didn't lose a whole bunch of fans because the regulation changed. Yeah, they might have lost a couple. But it's the same thing here in the SFL. We change suppliers, we change engine suppliers. But the league has grown larger. There are more players now on an active contract than there have been at any other point in SFL history. We might have one less team than we did last season, but that is due to figuring out a whole bunch of stuff for that ownership group, and whether or not now that ownership group led by Johnny Pickler continues to exist. That's a big question now. I teased in the teaser trailer. Is Johnny Pickler a bigger question? Becoming an owner a bigger story, or is having one less team a bigger story? That's something we can bring up in the People's Presser. Still plenty of time to put your questions in the show questions chat over on the NETMA Discord server, link to which is down below in the description. Go ahead and pop in there if you haven't already. We'd love to have you. Love to discuss a lot of stuff. And you get access to a special set of stuff. Like, just for example, I'm giving it out right now. There's a special episode 0 show that came out just for members of the Discord. So go check it out. Go check out that show. It goes through a whole big old... I had a PowerPoint presentation of what this show is going to look at. I'll break down a few different things. NETMA isn't just going to be a show anymore. You can check all that out in the episode 0 show.